Hey everyone, today I'm going to be sharing my very first experience using a sensory deprivation tank. If you don't know what a sensory deprivation tank is, I am going to try to explain it as much as I can. I'm not an expert, I've only done it one time, but I will leave a very informational video linked in the description box for you to check out. A sensory deprivation tank is essentially a very large pod that's filled with 180 gallons of water and 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. When you go into a sensory deprivation tank, the water is your body temperature, and you can choose to have the lights off and you just effortlessly float. There are several benefits to going into a sensory deprivation tank, one of them being just easier meditation and pain relief. The water is only 10 inches deep, so it's not like anything super scary. I went to True Rest Float Spa in Southeast Michigan. I will leave their information in the description box as well. So you enter this room and it's really beautiful and it's very private. You get this big shower and then you have the pod. You can go in the pod naked or you can go with a bathing suit on. I chose to not wear any clothing at all because I wanted to get the full experience. And you do shower before you get in the pod, and they did suggest that you wipe your face off and make it completely dry before you get inside. And they did provide earplugs. You have so many different options when you finally get in there. You can have the lights on, you can have the lights off, you can have music, you can sit in silence, you can leave the pod door open or you could close it if you'd like. I kind of played around with everything my first time because I really wanted to get a feel for what I liked so that I could do it in the future and do it really the right way. I decided I really didn't like the lights on. They did have a really cool switch where you could have like a different color. You could have like pink or green or blue solidly, or you could have them changing, or you could just have the lights off, which is what I ended up liking better. I did decide to leave their music on because it was really peaceful, and I did try it without the music and it just felt weird, and I could kind of hear myself splashing around if I moved slightly. And if you do move, you do kind of bump into the walls, so you have to be very still, which sounds pretty difficult, but once you get used to it, it's not hard at all. So like I said, I experimented with different options and I figured out what I liked. I personally liked laying with my arms up because it relieved a lot of the tension in my shoulders, which is where I hold a lot of my stress. I liked the lights off, and oddly enough, I liked keeping my eyes open. I don't know why, I just felt like, I don't know, more aware of where I was when the lights were off, but my eyes were open. It was very strange and I loved it. And like I said, I did decide to leave their music on, but I did have the option to bring like an iPod or listen to music off of my phone with an aux cord that's provided in that room. And it's really cool because the speaker is actually in the pod and the music plays underwater. So next time I go, I might bring a guided meditation and do something like that. They were not kidding when they said the floating was effortless. I didn't even know how it was possible, but when you get in it, you float immediately, and it's a very cool feeling. I'm not the kind of person that can float in like a pool or anything, and just to have that effortlessness was really nice. Another thing about the lights, I did decide to have the lights off in the pod, and then the room that the pod is in, the private room, there were motion censored lights, and those lights went off in 5 minutes, so I didn't have any problems with that. At one point I did open the pod door because the air in there was kind of warm and freaking me out a little bit, but when I opened the door, I kind of got like this cold draft and it was kind of ruining my vibe there for a minute. So I just decided to calm myself down and be like, you know what, the warm air, it's not gonna kill you. Just relax and try to enjoy it, and I did end up enjoying it. So I just had to play around and see what I liked. It was a very euphoric, all body high kind of feeling. I've never felt anything like that before. I felt like a noodle by the time I got out of there. And when I was in there, I felt like nothing mattered. Any anxiety I had about anything going on in my life did not exist when I was in there, which was an incredible feeling. I can't even describe it. I also had no sense of time, which is my biggest anxiety trigger, is just like, what time is it? What time is it? Like, when do we have to go do this or that? Or I have a deadline for this or that. And just having nothing like that, no sense of time at all, was a very new thing to me, and I think that's what I liked most about it. I was in there for 1 hour and it honestly felt like such a long time, but I have heard people say that they felt like the hour goes very quickly, but I personally felt like I was in there for a very long time. I do meditate quite often, so I felt like I was a little bit more prepared for this than some people might be if they don't practice meditation. I did go with my boyfriend. He was obviously in a separate room, but he does not practice meditation, and he said that he was kind of antsy and like he felt like the time went by pretty quickly. And yeah, I felt like I probably just had an easier time going into it because I knew how to relax my mind and do breathing exercises. I did have the urge to crack my neck and my back quite a few times just because I did get so relaxed that I felt like I needed to relieve the pressure that was in my neck and my spine. When you're in the pod, they tell you that eventually your brain doesn't have enough to concentrate on. So like if your knee hurts or something, it will kind of pinpoint it at that point. But it's really only the first couple times that it does that until your brain really learns how to handle the sensory deprivation tank. I was fortunate enough that the only pain I felt was that I had the urge to crack my neck and back, which I did end up doing. I sat up and cracked my back and my neck and I felt a lot better. But I did have a scratch on my chin from earlier, and when I did this to go crack my neck, the salt water got on my face and it hurt because it was like a scratch and it felt very painful. Just try not to touch your face at all. I really, it makes a very big difference. If your face is wet, you can feel like the water dripping and it's very, very distracting. When the 1 hour time is up, what they do is they control the light that's inside the pod from a timer in another room, and the light slowly comes on, and so do the filters. They're not loud or anything, it didn't scare me, it was just kind of like waking up from a really long lucid dream. So I was kind of confused at first, I didn't know where I was slightly disoriented, but in a good way. And I got out of the pod and they recommend that you take a really long, nice shower because you have salt all over you. My hair was very uncomfortable. And I did bring my own stuff. They did have shampoo and conditioner and body wash there, but I brought my own things in little travel size containers. And I just took a really nice shower and I just was giggly and happy because I just felt so good. It was that all body high, euphoric feeling that I've never felt before. And when I got out of the room after I got dressed and everything, I opened the door and realized that I had forgotten the layout of the spa and I didn't know where to go. I was just very, very confused because I was relaxed for so long and just with my own thoughts for so long that I was very confused and wasn't sure where to go, but I did end up figuring it out, obviously. It was just such a cool experience to really be with your own thoughts. And I had watched other people's videos before on their experiences with sensory deprivation tanks and how they said they felt like they didn't have a body and all they had was their mind. And I definitely agree, and I think that was probably the coolest part about it, is that you just get to be with yourself and not worry about anything. I'm very excited to do this in the future because I did end up signing up for their frequent floater program, so I will be going once a month now, and I feel so much more prepared for the next time. And I can bring my own music if I choose. Now I know what I'm gonna wanna listen to. I feel like I'm gonna be able to turn my mind off faster and more efficiently. And I am just so excited to go again because it was just such a great experience, and just taking care of myself and just being with myself in the purest form. I really, really cannot recommend this enough. I had a really good time and I felt like it was something I really needed. They say that you're supposed to sleep better after this, but honestly, I was so wired afterwards. I felt very, very relaxed, but the rest of the night I actually felt very energized, and I'm not complaining. Like I said, there are so many benefits to doing sensory deprivation tank floating that I didn't even mention. I just can't possibly cover all of this because I did only have one experience, so I do urge you to do your own research, and if you are claustrophobic, I would still look into it a little more because it really was not as scary as I think people make it out to be. Like I said, you can leave the door cracked if you want, but it's so safe. You're not gonna drown in there. It's 10 inches of water that you can't sink in. I did actually try to turn my back while I was laying down. That's the way that I usually crack my back, and I kept flipping over pretty rapidly because it forces you to float. It's incredible. I really cannot say enough good things about this, and I can't recommend it enough if you're in pain or just need to be by yourself and meditate. I don't know what else to say other than I've been wanting to do this for so long, and it was better than I thought it was gonna be, and now I'm never gonna be able to stop talking about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.